Hey everyone, Super Coco Bro here. Slay the Spire 2 just released a new beta patch, and I wanted to go over it here with you all, the highlights of it all. The first and the thing that I caught my attention was obviously the first line here, and the first line was, "We changed Prepared back to the way it was," which, oh my god, that is so nice right here. So Prepared is back to the way it was. It's no longer just 2 discards, it's a drawing and discarding. And it costs 0. It's back to normal, which is a huge bonus back to the silent. The Necrobinder had a couple cards change here. Capture Spirit was basically reverted back to where it was, a little bit stronger damage and a little bit more souls. And then they reverted the Borrowed Time back to just applying 3 Doom on yourself. And then you can get an additional energy when you upgrade it. So those are little changes, but I think I'm glad that they did so. And so the next thing that did is the Regent, the Arsenal card. This is basically changed what kind of build it's going to be used in. This one previously was when you play a colorless card, gain 1 strength. And then they moved it to when you create a card, gain 1 strength. So it's basically changed builds. It works for a different build now, and I like that. It's going to give that a boost. The Pendulum, I really like the change that they did here. It's every 3 turns you draw a card, so it's basically changed from when you shuffle your draw pile, draw a card, to every 3 turns draw a card. I actually like that change because I think it's going to be more helpful at the beginning of the game. The Doormaker has been nerfed even more, less random. I don't know what that means exactly here, but it's having another rework go through it, which is really great. I just think that the No Infinites patch, which is what I'm calling it, when you made them really hard to get because you changed certain cards that were allowing the synergies to happen so that you could have an infinite, it was just didn't make any sense to then punish the player so hard with the Doormaker. And I think he also scaled a little too fast because in 2 turns, he was already gaining 3 strength. So like by turn 5, he's going to be doing 20 times 3. That's a ton of damage. You either have to do 500 damage to him or be able to block 60 in 5 turns. That's a lot to ask for. So I'm glad that the fight was nerfed for sure. And I like the rework of it being completely different, that now each visual phase he's in has its own unique power to hamper the player. That's a total different fix. And I like that because I think Infinite still should be able to be used, just not so often, so easily. They changed another thing here with the elites can no longer spawn where they're at. They're spawning a little bit too early in Slay the Spire 2, and they fixed an inconsistency that allowed that to actually now go back to what Slay the Spire 1 was, where the elites can spawn on floor 6. So that's good, because it was a little too hard to beat them that early on in a run. The Cinder card for Ironclad is a good change. I hate that card. I never used it but one time. It exhausted my rare card in my deck that I had last, and just I never want to play it anymore from there. And the Tremble, I like the Tremble adding exhaust. It was just vulnerable, so now that it exhausts, it also does kind of pair with the Ironclad's exhaust energies, and I think it actually just makes it stronger for seeming like it actually doesn't. It actually does, because the way Ironclad plays the exhaust energies. Don't really even know what the Serpent Form card is. I used it like 1 time, so great. I'm glad they buffed it. The Regent had a ton of buffs, which kind of shocked by, but not really, because a lot of these things make a whole lot of sense. Like the Parry card, when you that was the power that when you played Sovereign Blade, you would get some block. 8 to 11 didn't feel strong enough. Personally, I just didn't think that was enough. Now, when you go to 10 to 14, it just makes a whole lot more sense to be able to actually play that card and use it, because now you're actually blocking for what's more than 2 defense once you upgrade it. Refined Blade, that card being increased in damage for Forge, I think that's a great play too. I'd never really played it because it just felt like I was taking too many turns to buff something. It's just a strike, really. It's a strike that I can do later. That's all that it is. That's like worthless to me. Celestial Might changed from +2 damage to 1 additional hit. And the Guiding Star card now draws immediately instead of next turn. I like that change because it didn't feel like there's just enough card draw for the immediate for this character since they nerfed glow. The Sword Sage card is actually really great. Now it no longer costs extra for Sovereign Blade and you can play it multiple times. I like that change a lot. I could never really find enough energy to be able to use Sovereign Blade with 3 energy. The Spoils of War card now draws 2 cards, but Forge is decreased, which is fine. I like the change there with giving you more card draw, giving more versatility to the Regent rather than just pure damage. I actually like that. The defect getting nerfed, the Voltaic, I really thought it was way too powerful to have a 2-cost card be able to evoke all of the lightning orbs that you've exhausted in your deck. I think changing it to 3 actually makes it much more in alignment. The tiny mailbox got a little bit of an upgrade here. Its rarity got changed, so it's an uncommon. And with that rarity change, it actually got an additional potion. I actually like that a lot more. It felt kind of like, okay, whoa, you gave me a relic to give me a potion. Yay! How many potions does that take for it to actually be useful? Because some of them could really suck. So getting 2, I actually like that. The rest of this is just word verbiage. It's how they're going to present to the game. Nothing's changed there really. And this is probably the biggest change for the underdogs is the Skulking Colony. Like the Skulking Colony, the way it was before the patch was you could do 20 damage to it. So by the time that it was going to do its huge 24 damage attack, you could kill it. So you could mitigate that damage. But then he changed it to down to 15. So you couldn't actually do enough damage. You had to block that 24. And it just scaled too hard. It made it too hard of a fight, in my opinion. So the nerfs to the scaling and dealing less damage, I think was really important. And no longer having Daze cards in your deck. It's like you're having to do all this kind of block and you're throwing all those Daze cards in my deck. It's just made it way too difficult. They changed the Haunted Ship to now, like, hey, the Daze cards that the Skulking Colony was doing, go to the Haunted Ship. And the Lost and the Forgotten, the Stat Thief no longer scales with Ascension. Great. The Waterfall Giant got a little nerf here with a little bit less max health. The rest is hogwash. It's art and bug fixes. I don't really care about that stuff. But my biggest takeaway of this whole entire patch is that they rededicated themselves back to the way the cards were before. Because some of them, the changes just felt a little too harsh. And that being prepared being the one that I thought was just the most difficult change for the Silent. I'm really glad that it reverted back. So that's my biggest highlight. What about you? What was something in this that you really liked that they changed? And if there's something else that you want in future patches, let me know down in the comments down below. I'll catch you all in the next video.